Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk getting started with the Middle-earth strategy battle game, and today we're going to be looking at the fantastical faction that is Goblin Town. That's right, down here in Goblin Town is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to go through the army special rule and how this affects how you build your army before looking at a couple of units we recommend to get started with for the faction. We'll then take a couple of other units to look at, to expand upon after those first couple of initial purchases, and finally finish off the video with a little sample army list of 300 points to give you, hopefully, some inspiration for starting your own Goblin Town army in the Middle-earth strategy battle game. And so, the army special rule for Goblin Town are pretty simple here. It's called Down in Goblin Town. I mean, you can just sing that to the cows come home. It's a fantastic name, and it's always ringing in my head. But what this rule gives us is each Goblin hero may expand their warband size by 6 models. This is really cool. You have super cheap troops. Your base Goblin warriors are 4 points. These are going to be the majority of your force. So being able to cram more of them in for each hero means you can really play with probably what is the truest horde army in the entire game of the Middle-earth strategy battle game. But of course, where to start? First of all, I would look at the Goblin King. Like, this is the place to start. He does so much for the army. He's your only true hammer you're going to find in the force. So for me, you know, this is a must. What's cool is he does come with a bunch of the other models in a kit, which we'll talk about in the next slide on where to go after. But first of all, he has a fight value of 6, strength of 5, defense 5, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 3 courage, 3 might, 2 will, and 1 fate. He's got heroic strength, strike, and challenge on him as well, which is really cool. And he's got a couple of different weapon options you can pick. He's got his nice pick there, which is really cool. Could be used as that giant two-handed pick, which will just give him so much going for him offensive-wise. Now, he's got a bunch of special rules as well. These are just going to help him really sort of help the rest of your force. First of all, he is burly. He's got Cave Dweller and Goblin Projectile, so he can throw things. Last Stand, Relentless, and resistant to magic and terror as well. Now, his Blubbery Mass is one of his unique special rules, where every time the Goblin King is wounded, roll a d6 on a 3+, the wound is ignored. Magical powers and elven-made weapons, though, ignore this ability as he's exceptionally weak to them. His Goblin Projectile ability allows him in the shoot phase if there's a friendly Goblin model in base contact with the Goblin King, neither are engaged in combat. The Goblin King may make a shooting attack with a range of 12 inch. This counts as a throwing weapon. Remove the Goblin, roll to hit, and take any in the weight test for the shooting attack. The shot is resolved to strength 8 and will automatically knock prone any model it hits. So it effectively kills the Goblin by throwing them and hurling them at someone, which is really, really cool. Now, of course, we're going to want to get Goblin Warriors. These are where the troops come in our force. You know, fight value of 2, shoot value of 5+, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, and 2 courage. They're not great, but they are 4 points each. You can choose to make them 5 points each, give them the two-handed weapons, which, you know, you definitely want to probably put a few of them in there, but for me, it's all about getting the bodies on the table. You've got so many bodies you can cram into this army, and these are just such cheap troops. Now, we're going to talk about the other models now that come inside the kit that includes the Goblin King. And the first of all, this is the Goblin Captain. Now, Goblins are not the fastest movement. You know, movement 5 isn't great, and you're generally going to have these giant hordes of foot-slogging troops, especially in larger games when you're maybe playing on a 6x4 size board. You're going to want a Goblin Captain, and even on the 4x4 board, the fact you don't have cavalry, you don't have any fast-moving troops, I think really makes the Goblin Captain become a little bit more useful. His heroic march is going to be super helpful for this, just enabling you to get more movement throughout your army. Now, Grinner is a special character. He comes inside the Goblin King box as well. He's got a really cool rule for his warband where he can effectively choose to swap himself out with another model. This one is called the nice rule Swap With Me, where it's a special heroic action that Grinner can use at the start of any phase. Using Swap With Me enables Grinner to swap places with any friendly Goblin model except the Goblin Scribe within 3 inches. This does not count as moving. If there is no room to place a swap model, you must choose another, or the heroic action is wasted, however. So you can effectively get himself out of trouble, which is really nice. He does have some cool rules where you can maybe sneak up on characters that have done some things already in the turn, which is really nice, considering that Swap With Me can be used at any phase. You can choose to sort of move him around and maybe, wounded characters that have been shot or magicked or stunned and stuff like that. When you're using other models to bring into your force, can be really fun. But lastly, we have the Goblin Scribe as the other sort of character that comes inside the Goblin King's box. His big thing is he's immobile. He effectively does nothing on the table, except he does bring in some friendly models. So, Always More Where They Came is his special rule. At the end of his move phase, the Goblin Scribe can opt to take a courage test. If the test is passed, you can move D3 extra Goblin Warriors onto the board, +1 for each point that he passed this test by as well. From an edge chosen by the controlling player, if the Goblin Scribe is forced to automatically pass this courage test, then D3 Goblins will enter the board as described above. So, he does have a pretty low courage of 3, so you're not always going to get modeled, but this definitely can bring more goblins to the table. I mean, on 10, on average, you are going to pass the test on average, a courage test with 2d6. You will reach the 10 on a 7, so reliably you're going to get D3, which is pretty cool, but there can be other ways you can get this to happen. Lastly, though, we have Goblin. Goblin is an independent hero you can take for the faction, which is really fun, and he's just going to bring something a little bit different, especially if your opponent's bringing a Ring Bearer. Now, he's got Cave Dweller and he's got Strangler, which is one of his passive abilities. What this one will do is Gollum is never considered to be unarmed, ever. But also, he's got My Precious, as you would expect for Gollum. What this special rule is going to allow him to do is, unless there's another ring bearer, such as Bilbo, Frodo, or even Sauron himself in play, Gollum will always have the ring. Should the ring bearer be slain in a fight with Gollum, then he automatically recovers the ring and it's added to his war gear. So, depending on who you're playing, you could have the ring on Gollum, which could be really fun and useful for your force. And so here we have our sample army list for Goblin Town. Now, 300 points on the nose, we've got 20 warriors. But what's really cool about this, normally if you've been watching these videos, you see the army list, and we've only got 1, maybe 2 heroes in some of the list. The Goblin Town one has 3 heroes, but still manages to get more warriors than most of the other warbands I think I've written for this so far. To start with, though, we have the Goblin King, and he's going to lead a warband of Goblin Warriors, which are going to have 5 with just swords and 5 with 2-handed axes. If you wanted to drop the 2-handed axes, you could fit in another Goblin Warrior, but I don't think the other Goblin Warrior is worth it. I think maybe just having a couple of 2-handed axes in there is certainly worth it for trying to get some more damage through. We then have a Goblin Captain, Hero of Fortitude, with 4 Goblin Warriors. And lastly, the Goblin Scribe with 6 Warriors. The reason we've gone for putting the 6 Warriors with the Goblin Scribe is just to make sure he's protected when we deploy him on the table. He can't move, so 6 Warriors is the most he can take in his warband, though he can go up to 12, obviously, if you're playing in a full Goblin Town army. But this just means you can more easily protect him. Obviously, you're wanting the most goblins there with the Goblin King, and the Captain would be working around the Goblin King anyway. You'd probably work them in tandem to make as many moves as you can with that heroic march. If you've been playing with the Goblin Town army in the Middle-earth strategy battle game, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But also, if you'd like to, drop a comment down below letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community, here we have a Discord server for Sinful Gaming where we chat all things wargaming and indeed just chat a bunch of good friends all chatting there. It's really lovely. There's a link to that in the video's description. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel, the best ways to do that are linked in the video's description as well. We have our Patreon, YouTube members on there, which are great ways to help support the channel. But also, if you'd like to grab yourself some channel merch, we have Teespring and Ko-fi, both linked there as well. As a special thank you to our Patreons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out for helping support the channel. So thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Thee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Bloobs, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, Nuffs, and Nicholas Colomos. And to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lochloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, Davis Weir, James South, and James Tillman. Thank you all for supporting the channel. It means the absolute world and allows us to keep doing what we're doing. A special thanks as well to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork to the channel, and indeed to everyone who helps come and film battle reports or helps run the Discord server. You're all amazing. Thank you all so much. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.